Looks like I saved a life today. With the likelihood of maybe even two, according to Victoria and the way she sees it. This is a nice story with a good ending and a moral. I was out in the world today, and when I got to the place, we were standing having a little congregation mass type of thing to talk about a bunch of stuff that does not apply to me. And there it is. I was the first one to meet this man. I was the first one to speak with him. There was another there, but he did not speak. He just stood. We were at the company, and I was by a back window that's covered in dust and is never used. And there's a door that is never used because it's got special purposes. And I see something outside that dusty window moving. That's one of the things, but silhouettes, shadows, movement. There are a couple more. There's another S word, shine. And there's one more thing I can never remember that you're looking for. If there are enemies around. I saw movement, and I turned and I looked, and he's standing there. He's like, and he can't come in here, not here. And so I said, I pointed down to the next door down. So I went down to that door, and I opened the door, and the very first thing I said to him, he is meeting the company. I am an ambassador. I said, you're not an active shooter, are you? And he says, no, I just want to get a job. He just seemed so happy. And I said, I can take you to somebody. So I took him to somebody. And then when I went back to my workspace, and I was there, and I saw him walking by, and he's this brute of a man, shaved head all the time, just clean, not with a razor, or maybe he's just got a lot of hair. I don't know why he's shaving it. If I had that kind of hair, well, you wouldn't know me. And he's a brute. I don't even know if he lifts weights. He looks like he's half gorilla, I swear to you. And that's just as natural. He's like, And I see him walk by with somebody else. They're talking about work. And I said, this motherfucker. I need to know who he is. I know where I took him and left him in that little fucking vestibule, that enclosed space where you sit and wonder if somebody's coming and what they're gonna be. I knew that he had to sign in. So I went up to the cubicle, the fucking vestibule thing, and I looked, and his name was right there. And I said, I'm gonna have to remember this. And so I did. And after that, this is like 8 months ago, he's been around, and I watch him, and he seems to have been getting a bit angrier the last couple days, but he always just seemed to be happy with what he's doing, the way he gets to do it. And I see him, and I say, ha, ha, ha. I say his name every time, his full name. And he's like, oh, hi. And I'm always very friendly to him. And, the more you use the full name, the easier it's going to be to do whatever you got to do when the time comes. This guy's suspect. He's been on probation with me the whole time in my mind. A very nice guy. But if you remember, I used to be a professional wrestler. Wrestling, working with the mentally handicapped. And every once in a while when one of them would go off, they'd say, "Oh, Judas," and I'd come around, I go, "Da, da," and I'd fucking wrestle, and I didn't use all the moves they taught us. Not really. I used my own moves, and I detained them. I never beat one of them. I'd say no matter what they tell you, but that one was the nonverbal. And there was this one Downy, this Down syndrome guy working at that place. He had a bull neck, and he was probably like 27, and he would walk around like he was the bull goose, and he's like, "Hey, hey," and he'd talk to the girls, and "Hey," and I'd say, "Hey," and I always looked at him and said, "Oh boy, I hope I never have to wrestle that one." You know, he looked strong. That's the one in there, and I had wrestled most of them at one point or another, but I never had to wrestle him. And I said, that is the one in here I hope I never have to wrestle. And then one day, from the bathrooms, which are over there, you hear the one little young, pretty assistant helper girl screaming, "Ah!" And it's like, what the hell? Blood-curdling screams. We're in a damn asylum, basically. People were like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Ha!" And I said, "Ooh!" And I went running, "Ha, ha, ha, ha." And I come busting into the woman's room, and there's this bull-neck dude just punching her in the face and saying, "Shh, shh," as I come in, and he's got her pushed into a stall. He followed her into the bathroom, and I said, "Gah!" And I came out and "Gah, gah," and I grabbed his fucking arms. You're supposed to do a basket thing, but I grabbed his hands as he reached for me, and I just tugged them like this. So he was like that. He couldn't do anything. He's like, "Ah," and I'm going, "Yeah." And he's still trying to get at the girl. And we got him out. And he didn't pay attention to me at all. He was at the girl like Bub in Day of the Dead. And so I ended up having to wrestle that one guy. And it turns out, they may be strong, but their IQs aren't as high. They don't have as much strategy. They're more driven towards one thing, and I was able to keep them until the time came. So this guy is like that. You look at him, you go, I never, ever want to piss this guy off. And so one time, a couple months ago, I've been very, very good with him because big dumb guys have always liked me. That's one of the things that's kept me out of too many whatever you call it, defying beatings. Big dumb guys always liked me. And so a couple months ago, I came up to him and I said, "Hey," he was in his place. I said, "I like the work you do." And he looks at me and he says, "What?" And I said his full name, and I said, I see what you put into it. I see you care. I see that you do try to do good work, and you are very good at what you do. I said, not everybody around here works like you do. Not everybody cares like you do. And he said, "Oh," and I walked away. I said, "Okay, here's another one that he can cross me off the list of who he's going to fucking kill." Hey, it's always funny to compliment somebody because in the end of it all, in the back of my mind, I'm laughing and going, who the fuck am I to tell you anything good about yourself? Look at me. I'm nobody that should know what's right from wrong, what's good, what's mediocre. Who am I to say? So, we're gathered for our mass. And the one guy that is one of the priests, basically, loudmouth, he likes fucking with people. But I'm standing there, just 6:01, and I see something out of the corner of my eye, and it's like when you see two raccoons, you're on the side of a hill in the middle of the night, and it's pitch black, and you see this rumbling, screaming thing, like big ball of fur coming down the hill through the trees, and you're like, what the fuck is that? And it turns out to be two raccoons. Two things together, especially people. You walk in on a couple of people screwing, and you didn't expect it. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like a monster, you know. Or fighting. They were coming behind me. I saw out of the corner of my eye, I see this body, the tall priest, and the gorilla taking him, and he's got him, and he goes, they were going down, but he didn't go down at the end. He stuck to his feet, the gorilla, and he had him, and he said, whack, with his big ham hand, crack, and you could hear it, boom. It was the best movie punch I've ever heard. None of this crack shit. It was like he was wearing like a 1 ounce glove or something, you know, not an 8, not boxing ring stuff, just something to protect his fucking knuckles. But I think that his ham hand was doing it. Then he fucking hit him again, and he's let go of him, and his head hit the concrete floor there. And I'm in my moment of focus. You know how time seems to go more slowly when you're totally focused on something. It's what they call the zone, but I got it figured out. It's just all the distractions, all the songs in your head that are going on, all the lights and the whispering people around you, all of that disappears. And so it gives you seemingly more time to focus on this task at hand. So I had plenty of time to think after I saw him fucking hit him that first time. I'm like, this is fucking serious. And he's pulling back again. And I look, and there are all kinds of people around, and they're doing nothing. And as he's swinging that, I made the 10 yards and probably 3 bounds, I'm guessing. I know I didn't run, but I know I went so fast, nobody that saw it, I don't know if anybody that saw it has told me what it was like yet, because even the one person that was right there didn't know what happened. And I'm sure that this nice gorilla that you'll have to keep control of with compliments, I'm sure he didn't know who I was. And I'm sure that the tall priest that was getting beaten on the ground doesn't know what happened, because I was behind the gorilla, and I came rolling up, and I said, rah, and I put my hands right on his lats, right here. I put them right on his lats, and I could feel the muscles pulsing, the gorilla fucking muscles, and I didn't do anything hard. I was just snug, firm, nice, caring. And I said, slow down, man. Really slow. I doubt anybody else even heard that. Slow down, man. And he stopped, and he just walked off. And then other people started screaming, get out of here. Yeah, get out of here. And I'm like, you people shut the fuck up. And I went and stood back where I was. And you can hear people were like astounded. It was this fast. It was probably a 5 to 7 second thing that had happened with me. And that probably only 10. But you could hear the people giggling like chimpanzees. And see them looking around. All these people that weren't willing to act or even aware of what was happening. They were kind of giggling like chimpanzees. There was nothing funny about it. It was totally nervous. It was like when you find out that OJ is innocent and Donald Trump is president. It's that, you know, there's something crazy about it. And the pack, these people, they would have just stood there and watched as this gorilla would have killed him. Concrete floor. He was not stopping. He was in throes. There was no pause between those punches I saw. He was a goddamn locomotive fucking arm pulling the whole damn train. And he was gonna bash his head, fucking dribble it like a basketball with his fist off the concrete floor until it fucking pulped. And once the first blood showed, he would have known in that little mind he's crossed the Rubicon. Might as well finish it. No going back. No going back. But because I am a peaceful person to begin with, and I'll tell you what, this is, I love the whole self-defense thing, using the minimum force necessary to stop an onslaught. Just happens to be some people, you know, will not stop, and so the minimum force necessary may be fucking killing the guy. It's just, it can go that far. But this, me coming up behind him and just touching him and letting him feel held, and hearing somebody speak calmly to him, maybe even recognizing my voice. Slow down, man. Immediately stopped and walked away. It's the same way that time I beat that one gorilla in Timothy's pub a few years back, that there was an altercation with the week before that had nothing to do with me. And fucking, I got there and these guys are like, we're going to take that guy out to this iron worker from East Detroit. We're going to take him out to the parking lot and beat his ass. And I said, you know what? I said, I had nothing to do with this. You guys do what you want. I'm not. And they're like, oh. But in my head, I said, as long as he doesn't say a thing about last week, that's what I put in my head. I'm not involved. So they wanted to take him out to the parking lot in a mob, and I kind of shut him down just by me saying, no, it's not right by me. It's got nothing to do with me. But then when we were playing pool and I was with that guy and I was drunk and holding the stick, and in my ear I say, yeah, this was last week, and I was like, ah. And I turned to him and I said, because I never acknowledged him as being the guy. I ended up at a table with these other iron worker dudes, and he was there, and so we were all talking. See, I know how to make myself look like I'm a very compromising person and very able to make decisions. And sometimes it works. And he says, I didn't say this was last week. And I said, what? And he said, so are we okay with what happened last week? And immediately, I was already moving. I could feel myself coiling. I could feel myself turning. And I'm thinking, oh, get him in the jaw. And there was a this is happening type of thing going through me too. The circuit had been clicked. And there was just a fuck it moment. You, without even have the time to say fuck it. This is where we're going now. And I said, hit him in the jaw. And I said, crack. And he said, ugh. And he dropped his beer and made a grasping reflex and was going like this. And I said, he's not going down. And so I said, I had him again. And I said, crack, right in the fucking jaw. And fucking, he's going down. Wait, what? The first one was a crack, and then the next one, when I moved in, I said, crack, crack, again as he was going down. And he hit the fucking ground. And I fucking kicked him in the upper thigh just to fucking wing him a little bit. And I was quite possibly on the way into stomping Private Pyle's guts out when the bouncer, Joel, came over his body because I was moving. And I had my boots on. These boots are made for walking all over your fucking guts, Private Pyle. And bouncer Joel grabs me just like that, just by the shoulders, just like that. And he looks at me, he says, you gotta stop, Archie. And I said, oh. I said, I guess I gotta go now, huh? He says, yeah, you can come back tomorrow night. It's okay. See, you are able to communicate with people. You can. If you can't, there are other ways to communicate with them. And I said to Joel, as I was walking out, I said, he had it coming. And Joel said, I know. And they called my name to sing karaoke. I was up next. And I looked at him, I said, can I at least sing my karaoke? And he said, no. Would have been too much of a show of power. So the thing is, I understand what it's like to have somebody just, that's a good bouncer. That's a good bouncer tactic. You don't start grabbing people and shit. You're supposed to be stopping trouble, not causing it. Sometimes it takes teaching a lesson if they can't fucking figure it out on their own. But, so me knowing, grabbing this guy just like that and just calmly shut him down. And he walked out. And Ray was there, anyway. It was the minimum force necessary to stop an onslaught. You don't need to tackle someone. If anybody had gotten it in their head that they were going to try and stop this gorilla and tackle them, I knew that wasn't the way for me. This guy would have fucking pulled my arms out. Or probably not. Because, you know, I'm not going to share all my tricks, but I was going to start fucking, that's just natural stuff. If he just throwing a punch, I would have punched his elbow, shit like that, and then you kick him in the nuts. Oh, I'm sharing all my secrets. But, I think it must have felt like fucking Mike Tyson was hitting that tall priest. Everything's okay. And so, Victoria says, when I told her I saved a life today, she says, yeah. She says, I think you saved two, because this nice guy that's just on the edge, but doing just fine, if you can keep him on the right side of it, manage your people in a way that applies to the individuals, not as a whole group. This guy would have killed him. And it would have been the loss of his life too, because he would have ended up spending the rest of his life in prison. And what is that? Why is it this guy loses his fucking mind and kills someone? He gets more time than somebody with meditated murder. Less time than somebody that does meditated murder. This meditated murder thing being more time kind of bugs me. Wait, probably goes both ways. They've had time to think of it. They've gone over everything they need to do. Sure, they're going to try to get away. They value their freedom. But they put together a plan, they work it out, and then they go in and they do it. However, if at any point they come to an understanding that maybe one, this won't work, that might not matter in another case. But the idea that they've changed their minds and there's another way around it. There are people that have been through that. So really, they're safer. And they put thought into it. So at the point where maybe they say, I can't see a way to get away with it, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe they've put in enough thought that they understand and enough emotion and rationalization, whatever it is that's driving them to do this thing. Maybe they look at the time they'll spend in prison and say, yeah, that's worth it. This person doesn't need to be. But then you take somebody that just goes off the fucking rocker and loses it. That could happen at any minute. We saw it today. I wouldn't say that in a court of law, just out of respect for the man. So I try to help. And usually I just end up getting punched in the face again.